Hey VC, what's up? It's me, yours truly. I am back to post a quick video here, and this is going to be a video response to Richardleedrum, his 130 subscriber final community contest. As always, I want to start these videos off by saying, Richard Lee, congratulations. Definitely deserve a lot more than 130 subs for sure, and I'm sure it's just going to matter of time before that number really starts to explode. But I'm definitely glad that I can have the privilege of being one of those subs. Definitely like your videos, your collection, your taste in music and all of that, but the one thing that always catches me most about your video is your listening room and that space that you have. It's always like so welcoming. Every time I see one of your videos, I just so wish I could go and hang out with you in there and just kind of take in that ambiance, if you will. I mean, I love your listening room. I would like for you to do a tour sometime and kind of show us what you have in those little like spaces where you say you have quite a bit of your collection stored. I remember you said that early on when you did a room tour like a long time ago. So would love to see that, just throwing it out there. If you ever get a chance to kind of sneak your camera around that corner, would love to see it. But this is about paying tribute to you and your 130 subs. And great contest idea, number one. I know you said there's not a lot of people that typically, just in the VC, we're going to talk about a lot of soundtracks, and I am a huge soundtrack guy. I love my soundtracks, especially when you start dabbling back into the 80s and stuff like that. I mean, I am just all about that, so I was really happy to see you come up with that idea for your contest. I'm not going to say disappointed, but I was a little like, when I first heard your contest idea, I was like, oh goodness, I'm about to take like 55 minutes to show every soundtrack I have. But then when you said you want to do only scores, I was like, because then I knew like just a bunch of them that was automatically off the table. But I pulled out a few. A couple I know are scores that were made specifically for the movie. A couple of them I'm not 100% sure about, so if I am wrong on those, I didn't like take time to research it, so to speak. But so anyway, let me just kind of dive into it. And the first one here is not a score, but it's just as I was flipping through, pulling out some soundtracks, I stumbled across this and thought, I haven't listened to this in a long time. But it's Black Snake Moan, which is a pretty cool movie, definitely interesting. It was a lot different than I thought it was going to be when I first saw it. But a really good kind of bluesy soundtrack. A lot of different groups on here, everything from R.L. Burnside, one of my favorite blues artists, Black Keys, Son House, who else? Oh, actually, Samuel L. Jackson himself does like 3 different tracks on here. And he does a cover of Allie Mae, which is he does a really, really good cover of that on this album. Actually, the song that made me want to buy the album. So, anyway, that's what's playing in the background there. And again, that's just a picture soundtrack, it's not an original score. So these are the ones that I came up with, and I'm saving the last 2 as kind of being music I would share with you, as well as my favorite musical soundtrack scores. Again, I know one of them was made originally for the movie. I'm assuming the other one was too. But anyway, let's start off with just kind of the other ones to mention. Of course, you got a classic like Rocky. You can never go wrong with that. One of the most awesome, inspirational soundtracks ever. Gonna Fly Now, Philadelphia Morning, Going the Distance, Take You Back, First Date, just all that stuff. I mean, everything about Rocky was just an instant classic. So I had to show that one. And then, of course, you had to go Rocky 2. And I think this one was as well. I think this was an original score too, I believe. I think when you get into Rocky 3 and 4 and so forth, that's where you had, Survivor stuff coming in and all different kinds of things. It was more of a compilation, I believe. Again, I'm not that up on it, but that's definitely 2 I think were original scores. If I remember correctly, I believe Superfly, I think Curtis Mayfield did this strictly for the movie. A fabulous soundtrack. This is one of those type of albums where if Superfly had never was never even a movie, and Curtis Mayfield just put this out as one of his studio albums, it would have been just, I mean, absolutely fantastic. So this was one, I think, where the soundtrack actually took the movie a bit higher than necessarily the movie taking the soundtrack. But fantastic, just that Curtis Mayfield funky R&B. I mean, just doing what he does so well. So that's one I definitely had to put up. Great album there. This is one that I'm pretty sure was an original score, not just a random compilation. Annie. And this is not one just for show. I love this album. I cannot tell you how many times I've listened to it. I have the vinyl, I have the CD, I have the cassette, and I even have the Broadway version, the Broadway soundtrack on vinyl as well, which is, you know, slightly different. But this is the original movie score. And again, everyone knows Annie, and you know, Tomorrow, Maybe, It's a Hard Knock Life, and all of that. I mean, it's classic stuff. Again, we can laugh and everything else, but it's classic stuff. So definitely one of my favorite soundtracks there. Now these two are probably my two favorites, and I can't really say I can put them in order, but I'll go ahead and start off with this one. Number 1, Grease 2. I mean, again, just a great soundtrack. I've spoken about this soundtrack before in previous videos. I'm definitely a much bigger fan of the movie Grease 2 than Grease. I think Grease 2 was so much better. You know, songs like everything on this, Back to School, Cool Riders, Score Tonight, Girl for All Seasons, Do It for Your Country, Who's That Guy, Prowlin', Reproduction, Charades, Love Will Turn Back the Hands of Time, Rock-a-Lulau, We'll Be Together, and I can sing every single song word for word and do 90% of the dances to all those songs anytime you want. So, I mean, again, I love this soundtrack. Love the movie, love the soundtrack. So that's definitely one of my top 2 favorite soundtracks when you're talking about songs written specifically for the movie. And last but not least, another fantastic album, Conan the Barbarian. The very first one, with Vasil Polidaris as a composer on this. Definitely my favorite, I guess, classical piece, because that's really what it is. But just such a good mixture of, I don't know, of all the different, great elements you get out of classical music, but then also just the medieval theme and the medieval power that he brings into these tracks. It's like you can listen to the album and when you get done, you swore you just watched the movie and went through all of the fight scenes and the emotions and just everything that the movie brought to the table. It's completely brought out in this soundtrack. I mean, talking about the perfect soundtrack to match up with a movie. And again, if you're not a big fan of classical music, this is one piece that I usually recommend kind of starting with, because Conan the Barbarian is, just a wonderful piece of music. Really, really good stuff. Powerful stuff too. So there you go. So anyway, those are the ones that kind of came to mind. And again, kind of doing the combination between stuff that I really like and musical scores. I would say the Grease 2 and Conan the Barbarian, those are kind of the two that I would put out there to say, Grease 2, obviously, that's going to vary from person to person. There's just some people that would absolutely never like that album, understandably so. But I love it to death. And Conan the Barbarian, again, just a great piece of music, period, from front to back on that album. So again, Richard Lee, congratulations, man, 130 subs. Can't wait for your next 200, 300, 400, 500 subscribers contest. And again, if you get a second and think about it and get the time, would love to see the rest of your music area. All right, so take care, my friend, and we will talk to you soon.